Ready or Not, a game released by Void Interactive on December 17th, 2021. It's a slow-paced tactical shooter, but not to the likes of Siege. It resembles a lot of SWAT 4. The game is an extremely hard game, and it will require a lot of practice and patience to get good at. The question for today's video is, and what I will be answering, is does the game still hold up in 2023, and is it worth buying for the price that it is? Because the game is very, very expensive. There are two variants, the Standard Edition and the Supporters Edition. The Supporters Edition comes with extra weapons, such as the B1013 Pointman and a Riot Shield. And I will explain both variants and if the Supporters Edition is worth it or not. The game is not for the weak-hearted. There are a lot of questionable situations that we will go over when I do the missions. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I will see you next time. Ready or Not's weapon system is very, very expensive. It's got iconic weapons such as the 5.7 USG pistol, the M4 shotgun, and the G36C. There is something for everyone's playstyle, such as you can use an M32 rotary grenade launcher with flash rounds to flash people as you enter a room. You can also use a beanbag shotgun to apply pressure and passively subdue someone without having to kill them. You can also go running and gunning with a P90 if you really want to. The weapon customization also has a very deep layer because you can customize weapons to what you want them to be. You can run a 5.7 with a suppressor and a flashlight if you want to. You can run a 5.7 with no attachments. It has a lot of guns in each category, most of them being based on real-life weapon variants, as such as the G36C and the Benelli M4. The tactical system also has multiple different variants of one specific tactical or two specific tacticals, which is the M320 grenade launcher and the ballistic shield, which that will be covered in the gadget section. But also you can customize your armor as well. You can run heavy ballistic vest, light armor, and then anti-stab vest. The anti-stab vest means you have no armor but you can survive being stabbed. The light armor means you have armor plates but it's a lot lighter so you take less bullets, and the heavy armor you take a lot of bullets. Also, the armor can be customized to cover all sides or no sides, which means you have no plates. However, you can also pick what plate you have between Kevlar, steel, and ceramic. The heavier plate you pick, so for example steel, you'll be a lot slower when moving, but you can survive a lot more bullets and it takes a lot more to break. On top of that, you can also customize your headgear between night vision, anti-face mask, anti-flash goggles, and gas mask to stop yourself getting hurt by gas. The gadgets on the weaponry can be changed, as I said, between flashlights, laser pointers, you can change the grips and stuff like that. It has a lot of customization, and basically you have to figure out what you want to run on your own. Moving on to the tactical section. The first tactical on the list that is very, very useful is the mirror gun. It's the first on the list, and it's actually very, very important for actual SWAT teams. It lets you look under doors and around walls without having to expose yourself to the enemy. If there's an enemy in the room, you'll be able to call that out to your squad mates and be able to make a plan from there. For example, if they have a RPD and you want to take him down aggressively without capturing him as, without arresting him, then you'll make a plan to go balls to the wall or put riot shields in first. It's very useful to make a plan of action, and it's very useful to get intel on traps on doors, where hostiles are, where civilians are, so you don't end up shooting a civilian, and how you want to play into a room. The next tactical that is very, very useful, but can also be very detrimental to your team, is the breaching shotgun. It's the second on the list, and this thing is very, very useful to breach for active shooter and or hostage rescue, because you can use it to make noise and bait the enemies. It isn't very good, however, on barricaded suspects and raids, because the AI have a tendency to shoot at a door that they hear noise from. For example, if you go to kick a door, they'll sometimes shoot at the door if they're behind it. Same with a breaching shotgun. If you breach in front of the door with the shotgun, 9 times out of 10 the AI will shoot back if they are not a civilian and they are an actual suspect you're trying to arrest. When using the breaching shotgun, go to the side of the door and shoot the hinges and the doorknob, and the door will come off. And or just shoot the doorknob and it will open the door. As I say, just be careful because there is a tendency where you will most likely get shot. Just plan with your team accordingly and put people where they need to be. The next tactical in line is the riot shield / rescue shield because they both serve the same purpose. One is slightly bigger than the other, and that is the rescue shield. The rescue shield / riot shield is supposed to block bullets from the enemies, protect your allies, and protect yourself. However, you are only limited to using a sidearm if you use it. The issue is with the riot shield, you're limited to the sidearm, and your accuracy is very limited. It's meant to be used to block up bullets and close gaps between you and the suspects, and protect your team while doing so, and if in any case protect civilian lives that are in danger. It takes a while to get used to the riot shield. I'm not a personal fan of using the riot shield. I find it too cumbersome for me. However, a person that's really good at a riot shield will be able to excel exceedingly. Just be careful because certain bullets will penetrate the riot shield's hull, as I had happen, which I will show a clip of, which was magnums can penetrate the hull and just straight up hit you. So be careful of that, but apart from that, riot shields for the most part will block most bullets. AI, as long if you're not crouched, will aim for your legs. So if in any case, if you're on your own, try to be crouched because they will have a less chance of hitting you. They can also hit your hand that's holding the pistol out in front of the shield, but that's a lot rarer than getting hit in the legs if you're standing up. The next gadgets on the list are the M320 grenade launchers. Now there's 3 different variants of this. You have the M320 with flashbangs, the M320s with stingers, and the M320 with gas grenades. They all serve the same purpose but do slightly different things. They're meant to immobilize the suspect and make sure that you can take them down safely without them being able to fire your weapon. If you're going to be using the flashbang, make sure to partially open the door and fire it into the room without blinding yourself, or wear the anti-flash goggles. If you're going to use stingers, just don't enter the room before the grenade goes off. And if you're using gas, make sure to have the gas mask because otherwise you will hurt yourself with gas. Now these things immobilize suspects, you can take them down easier, and they make sure that they cannot fire, but anyone around them, including civilians, and you can also be blinded, gassed, or stung. Just be careful when using this in a team, because if you misfire, you will end up hurting your team. And on top of that, if you fire it directly at a suspect, I'm pretty sure it will kill them. I'm not entirely sure, I might have to test this, but I'm pretty sure it kills them, particularly the stinger grenade will kill them. Gas not so much, and flashbang I don't think it does, but stinger definitely will kill them. So be careful, and also plan with your team as well, because you want to move in once that goes off. Because I've had a team where we did that and we didn't move in and the suspect got away, but, just be ready to move in. Ready or Not has 14 missions. Some missions have a variation of themselves, such as raids, active shooter, bomb defusal, and hostage rescue. They vary between each mission. On the very first mission that you're supposed to do, you raid a house where a drug deal is going on, and then eventually you can raid all the way up to a hospital and a pedophile ringleader's house. The missions have their own story on the map, and some of them are very, very messed up, particularly VOLL Health House, Brixton Talent Time, and 213 Park Homes, which is the ones we are going to be focusing on. Now, VOLL Health House might be the most fucked up because it relates back to something that happened in Japan in the 1980s. It was about where someone was using kids and then buried them in cement in his basement in his house. If I've got that correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's right. And the game took that and did something similar with it. Brixton Talent Time, which is the mission just before that, is really fucked up because it was basically just putting the kids there to be used. I'll explain more with each mission when I show gameplay of each mission, but 213 also slightly fucked up in a different way because it's about what happens to people who are poor. I'll explain with each mission. 213 Park Homes. The first mission in Ready or Not that released with the game, as it came with 3 other missions. This mission is fairly simple, as you're there to stop a drug deal going on after police reported to it, and shots were fired. The entire point is you're supposed to clear the main house, go outside, and clear the underground compartment. As you go through the house, you see some fucked up things, such as meth in a fridge, ramblings about a mythical being on the walls, them saying fuck the police, and stuff like that. There's also this really bad scene with a girl that's OD'd in a bedroom, and if you look very closely, you can see condoms on the floor around her. You can see the needles on the bed. It is really messed up. The mine is an absolute death trap. If you're not careful in the mine, you will get murdered very quickly. But they were trying to dig around to make a tunnel for the drug deal to get done without people knowing. When you first arrive at Brixton Talent Time, everything looks normal. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. However, once you actually enter inside the building, you realise that everything is messed up. As you enter the building and look around, you see photos of kids being forced to smile, them being used for certain photographs. Now, Brixton Talent Time is the second mission of taking down an infamous pedophile ring that you've got wind of. And you go for the owner of Brixton Talent Time, George Brixton. And as you're going through the building, you find a computer that says that has an email chat between two different people saying that they'll make their princess smile. And it's basically showing what they do to the kids and what they're forcing them to do, and how fucked up everything is there. It is a group, and it's also guarded by basically MIA agents. And the person behind it all wants you arrest George Brixton or apprehend him if you have to incapacitate him. He tells you about the owner behind the entire thing, VOLL. And as the next mission goes in, you attack VOLL's house on his 18th daughter's birthday, where you find more fucked up things. VOLL Health House, one of the worst missions in the entire game. Doesn't beat Neon Tomb's level of extreme, but it is very, very disgusting. This is the last mission of the pedophile rings list, and it might be the worst out of all of them. This mission makes me physically feel sick due to multiple different reasons. One, VOLL had been having sexual relations with his own daughter for years. Not sure when it started because the game doesn't very specifically tell you that. You also see that he'd been saying very choice words about his own daughter, and that was very messed up, to be honest. And there's a very specific room in the basement that you can miss if you don't look properly, where he had been burying kids inside of cement when he didn't need them anymore, so they couldn't tell on him and whistleblow. This mission is relating to something that happened in the 80s in Japan. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm right with that one. As that had happened, and the person was caught and charged with, well, being a pedophile and a lot of murder, so I think he was sentenced to death. Again, correct me if I'm wrong with that, but I believe I'm right. And the game has replicated that very, very well with VOLL Health House. Now, you guys raid it during his 18th daughter's birthday. She's not there at the time, but the agents that you fight from Brixley Talent Time are there again, which means he called them in, and he's there himself, and he is violent towards you and will try to kill you, just as they will. You have to either apprehend or incapacitate him to get hold of him, and you need him so he will explain what their entire group has done. This might be one of the worst missions due to how strongly they show what has happened to the kids that he's used in the past and how fucked everything is. You see as you go through different posters of him and his daughter in different like sex films. There's also a theatre that's playing a sex film, which is weird, but it gets far, far worse once you enter the basement, particularly about his own daughter. In the gameplay that will be showing over the top of this, some of the words you just can't say about your own daughter. It's horrible. To answer the question if Ready or Not is worth playing in 2023, to answer it shortly, yes. It has a lot of customization, a lot of skills, and it can help you learn how to work together as a team. This is good to play with yourself if you don't have friends to play with because it has AI, and if you have friends to play with, then you can all work together and try to secure the crime scene in many different ways possible. It's one of the best games if you want to learn the story about each map, because the game tells you the story in each map, and it tells you what the people are going through, how it is to be a SWAT officer, and how life is in Los Sueños, which is based on LA, I believe. This game isn't for the faint-hearted due to how each map can be, such as Neon Tomb, VOLL Health House, and Brixley Talent Time. The game is very good. Yes, it has some issues with the AI, e.g. as you see in the clip above, they get stuck behind doors, they get in your way. But, you know, apart from that, for the most part, this game is very well polished, very well designed, it's very well kept as well. They've fixed a lot of issues. The AI is a lot better. And there's so many ways you can take over a map, and there's so many different modes you can play as well. I would say that it's worth spending the £50 on it. And I would say that if you want to support them extra, you can buy the Supporters Edition, which is about £75. But you can also watch other people play it and still get enjoyment that way as well. I would say that this is definitely worth picking up and playing in 2023, and it still holds up to when it first released. It is in a lot better state, and it has only improved since it released, with all the changes it's had, with the weapons it's had introduced, the tactical changes, and how the maps actually flow, because it's not the same every time either, it switches every time. People can be in different spots, RNG for items can change, where enemies spawn, where enemies are looking, where enemies roam. It's not always the same. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and its overlook at Ready or Not. It's just slightly different to what I've done before, so I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you in the next one.